It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. I'm in the middle of reviewing the new beers from Brewdog that have launched into Tesco in March 2023. I've just reviewed Palm Beach, which was a pina colada beer from Brewdog. And honestly, I've never hated a beer as much as I hated that beer. That beer was horrendous. It was a 0 out of 10. By far the worst beer we have ever reviewed on the channel. And that goes for beers that have been chock full of diacetyl and have been off and have been awful. This Brewdog beer was worse. This Palm Beach from Brewdog was worse than all of those beers combined. Horrendous. So forgive me then if I'm slightly scared, I'm slightly worried to get into this next Brewdog beer from Tesco. This is called Brewdog Arcade Made. And I almost feel sorry for Elusive Brewing Company at this stage because I feel that they're being ripped off by their 8-bit themed beers. Now, Elusive Brewing Company, fantastic brewery, produce amazing beer, and I love their artwork. And I just feel like Brewdog have come along here and they've gone, oh, we like what you're doing, we're just going to blooming take that from you. This is a double dry hop, double IPA, 8% ABV, 440 milliliter can. It's been described as a coin-operated beer. I'm sorry if I'm slightly negative going into this review, but honestly, that pina colada beer was the worst thing I've ever drank in my life. I just hope this is good. I just hope that this kind of like changes my mind a little bit. Like, can Brewdog be saved? Can they be saved? This was £3. £3 for an 8% ABV double IPA. If it's good, it's going to be a great value for money beer. If it's expensive, no, it's not expensive, it's £3. If it's, where did that come from? If it's rubbish, then just save your £3. But double IPAs are a tough market. They're a real tough market. I'll get into that in a moment. But first of all, let's concentrate on the beer. We got a 2-finger white head. Good levels of carbonation rolling up the side of the glass. It looks slightly oaty, straw-coloured, hazy. £3 Tesco, 8% ABV. Let's get the aroma. See, now this smells okay. How can Brewdog make such a bad beer in something like Palm Beach and then launch a beer at exactly the same time and put it on the shelf and like it seems okay. This seems okay. It's tropical. It's hoppy. There's a little bit of grain in there. Okay, it has that signature Brewdog aroma. Every Brewdog beer has this kind of it's like a signature aroma of every single Brewdog pale ale or IPA that you ever come across. It just seems to kind of like reek of Brewdog beer. It's not necessarily a bad thing again. My door's knocking, but it's I think it's a charity. Just crack on, innit? little bit of grapefruit, a little bit of passion fruit. Well, let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Whoa, now this is a tough one. This is a tough one because it's very... You can almost taste the margins. You can almost taste the number crunching. The feverishly kind of furious tapping on a calculator here. The accountants crunching the numbers, saying, can we get this beer into Tesco of a shelf price of £3? You can almost taste the blood, sweat and tears of the accountant's calculator. The furious button pressing on the calculator. You can almost taste the blood, sweat and tears from that calculator pressing in this very beer. It wants to be good. It wants to be good. It starts off okay. Get a little bit of orange peel, a little bit of grapefruit. There's a like an alcohol burn on the back of the throat for an 8% ABV beer. It is 8% ABV, so you are going to get a little kind of touch of that alcohol. But at the same time, that's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. I was drinking, and this brings me to my very next point, actually. Let me touch on the flavours first. It's kind of on the back end right now. I'm tasting this kind of like heat, this kind of burning heat on the back of the palate. That's a combination of that 8% ABV alcohol. It's a combination of maybe hop oils, like a hop oil or some kind of hop extract that they've used to produce this beer. It's very burny on the throat. Nothing to do with my thing that's going on, my cough. Nothing to do with that whatsoever. My reflux, that's what I'm... Nothing to do with my reflux. It's definitely in the throat. It's not lower down like in your windpipe or in your chest. It's drinkable. There's a certain refreshingness about it. It's very tough. It's very tough. I'm going to go into it. It's very tough to produce a beer for £3. £3 on the shelf price in Tesco. I reviewed a beer just last week. It was a Track Brewing Company triple IPA. And it was £8 a can. And the amount of comments I had on YouTube of, oof, you know, £8. And I totally understand that. I totally understand that. Or £8 is a lot of money for one can of beer. You know, I can't justify it. It's tough for me to justify. Difficult for me to kind of lay out that £8 for this triple IPA. But honestly, that beer was sent to me. So I didn't kind of know the price in my review. It was sent to me. But if I was... This is where we are, isn't it? This is where we are. We're in this kind of cost of living thing in 2023 where some people are struggling to buy a loaf of bread, and then there's other people who are just carrying on with their normal lives. And it's tough, isn't it? It must be very tough for a brewery to know what to do in a situation like this, where a lot of their kind of consumers are really struggling. They're really struggling to pay bills, and certainly pay £8 for a triple IPA. And Brewdog have been there. They've been there. They've been at that point where they were trying to sell beer for £8, £9, £10 a can, where they were talking about Michael Jackson being involved back in the 1980s, 1990s, late 1990s, and it was a barrel-aged beer, and they would really have to sell that beer. They've been where Track Brewing Company are right now, trying to sell a triple IPA, £8 a can. And as a business, putting my business head on for a moment here, it must be far easier for Brewdog to be able to put a beer on the shelf at £3 a can and call it a double IPA at 8% ABV. And yes, work their kind of do whatever they're doing here to get it to taste how it is. But saying that, I'm probably not going to finish this. £3 a can. Again, like the Palm Beach, I can smell the headache already coming on. I can taste the headache already coming on, the hangover. I can taste the hangover in this beer. And I'm in the position now where I just don't want to do that to myself anymore. I do not want to kind of bring on a hangover. It's musty, it's chemically, it's astringent. You've got that burn in the throat. It's just making me want to do this. Thanks, but no thanks. But I totally understand it at the same time. I totally understand that kind of whereas I drank all of that triple IPA, and I probably could have drank another 3 cans of it. It was terrific. It was a fantastic triple IPA. But, not everybody can kind of take that on the chin and pay that £8 price for that can of beer. Whereas there are people who, they like beer and they might be willing to pay £3 for a double IPA, 8% ABV. Me, with the experience I have, I wouldn't want to drink it. I wouldn't want to drink it because I don't want the headache. I don't want the hangover anymore. It reeks of headache. It reeks of hangover. It's a shame. It's a shame because I think they've tried. Again, they've been banging that calculator. They've been crunching the numbers. They've been working really hard to get this double IPA on the shelf for £3. But maybe it doesn't deserve to be sitting on that shelf for £3. If you have to crunch the numbers as much as you've crunched the numbers, that the quality of the beer is suffering by all of the number crunching. I'm not going to read if there's any description on the back. I'm done reading descriptions of Brewdog beer. They keep banging on about being fiercely defiant and independent. I'm not going to get into the whole Heineken thing. It's just not fun anymore. It's not fun anymore. I'd rather... I forgot the name of the brewery now. The little 8-bit brewery that I was talking about just now, that make terrific kind of arcade 8-bit themed beers. They make terrific beer, and I would much rather go to their website, pay a little bit more money and buy beer from their website than order this Like, they've almost been ripped off. They've almost been ripped off. The name is on the tip of my tongue. The name of that brewery I already named earlier is on the tip of my tongue. It's just not fun. It's just not fun anymore. I very, very rarely go to Brewdog bars. I very, very rarely have anything to do with Brewdog these days. The sad fact is that we got one more to go. I picked up a can of Brewdog Black Heart Stout at 4.1% ABV. And I've got to go through the whole rigmarole of reviewing another Brewdog beer from Tesco. There was something, like, it was really cheap, like something like £1.50 a can. £1.75, £1.50, something like that. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh, if this beer is not tasting great at £3 a can, and now I got to go through the whole rigmarole of drinking a beer from Brewdog at £1.75 a can, it's just not fun. It's just not fun. So rating for Brewdog Arcade Made is poor. They've tried, I can see they've tried, but it's poor. It's a 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put the comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom. Cheers.